Hey everyone, this is Jared and Coach Sarah, and we want to talk to you about some awesome takeaways. And Jared is our guest speaker tonight. And can you take it away and tell us some of the nuggets that you learned from the weekend in Dallas?
Sure. So I had the opportunity to go to Dallas, Texas this past couple of weeks, and I got to learn from a lot of people. I learned from Coach Jimmy, Dave Ward. They were the main ones. Also, Bo Eason. He's a former NFL player, motivational speaker. Gary Vaynerchuk, who he'll be coming to Summit, and Scott Mann. Scott Mann's a lieutenant colonel in the Army, retired, and he also helped train thousands and thousands of Navy SEALs. He's like a huge involvement in the Navy SEAL program. So, and Carl Deichler as well. He showed up. So I'm just going to go down the list. I started a lot of my takeaways. This was different from so many other events. There were so many takeaways. It's hard to narrow it down to just a few. So I'm just going to go into it, and I'm just censor what they said because it was very, the language. But I'll just say the censored version, and I'll just start and just come down the list. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll go through it. So Carl Deichler was our first speaker, and he started off saying, your ego will beat you down and tell you you don't belong here. And when he's saying that, he's talking about the business.
Yeah.
And he's saying to show up all the way, not halfway or partway, all the way. And Carl Deichler says, basically saying, how hard are you busting your freaking A, pretty much. And Carl Deichler, the real Carl Deichler, swore a lot, so it's kind of more relatable. But he said, what you got to do is you got to outwork everybody else who thinks they can outpace me, and that's what he did, and that's how he got to where he was. One thing Carl Deichler was telling us is when he was growing up, he actually got called fag and a bunch of stuff like that, and he got made fun of a lot in this community he grew up in because doing this fitness industry wasn't normal. He had to fight through all that, so he knows what it feels like. And to the guys listening, he knows what it feels like to be a guy in a women's business.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't intend this to be a women's business. He intended it to be a fitness business. It's just that the women ran with it, and that's just how it is.
Right.
He said it's not a men's business, and it's not a female business. It's a people business. So anybody saying my business is suffering because I'm a guy, he said that's just an excuse. That's all on you. He said the one thing you really need to do is you really need to tell your story.
Mm-hmm.
You need to attract people by being consistent with your message. Connect with people first, and then invite them. He said we have over 200 million people to reach. So saying that I don't have any people to talk to or saying my warm market's drying up, that's just an excuse.
Right.
He's like, there's so many people that need our help. He said it's your mind is a big thing that's going to get in your way. And he said this business is going to be hard, and it's okay that it's hard. He said, think of it as a war, like a battle, like Braveheart. And he's like, and it's hard. Wars are hard, and this is meant to be hard. You're fighting a battle against obesity. Think of it that way. If you treat it like a battle, like war, he said it. I think that just helps a little bit more.
Yeah.
He said you got to run through that barrier, and you need to lead. You need to lead your teams. You need to lead other challengers by setting an example. And he said, you got to be relentless with the fact that you want to succeed. And our company, what we do is we're sharing the one thing that actually works. This isn't a magic pill. This isn't a quick fix.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah. And, without bad-mouthing other companies, he was just saying, you know who I'm talking about. There's other companies out there. But he's like, we have something that works. And you'll meet other companies along the way that have quick fixes or magic this or magic that. And he's like, this is the real deal. And right now we're overtaking the fitness industry right now, so we're getting huge. And he said, you should be excited about that. You're part of one of the biggest things out there right now. He said, Carl Deichler said, make 5-star diamond non-effing negotiable. He said, basically, make sure you get 5-star diamond. And he was very serious about that.
Why?
And the other, he didn't really say go into the why, but he just was very like, get to 5-star diamond. Okay. And I'll go into a couple other speakers on the way, and I think you'll kind of tie together because they kind of go into a little bit more. He said the business is hard, but being means that there's an opportunity for you. And Carl Dyker said, stop whining about it being hard. And that's coming straight from his mouth, the CEO of the company. Is there any questions on that? I got a few others, but I'll take little pauses in between speakers.
Yeah. I think the 5-star diamond thing, the mindset, is interesting to me that Carl put that out there, because at our retreat it was 2-star, and now Carl's like, no, go 5-star. But I think the basis of it is that everything goes in waves. Like right now, my wave, it is so different than 2 months ago. And believing in ourselves and sticking together, even though like I know that I was completely vulnerable and told everyone around me that I was struggling, but I still need to believe this. Like I still need to go back through my notes and all the personal development I've ever done and like review and reach out. And I think it's really important that if we can share this video to the coaches that are in the same spot, like get on there, like just be present and fill yourself with people that have these aspects like lined up and their just mindsets. That's my feedback.
Okay, thank you. And hey, Tiff. So I'm going to go on to the next speaker. And the next one that spoke to us is Dave Ward. And Dave Ward is very like direct and very in our face.
Right.
He started off with the statement, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. And he went into his story, and basically he was a successful attorney, made over $150 a year. He's very successful. Beachbody wasn't something that he needed, that he thought he needed, because he's very successful. Then the economy crashed in 2007, and he lost everything. And because him and his ex-wife Monica built a business, they were able to save themselves. And he was just asking us a bunch of questions, and he said, are you in debt? And he brought up different amounts of debt. Like you have $5,000 in debt, $10,000, $25,000. You know, are you $50,000 in debt? And he said that's where he was. And he's like, if you're $50,000 in debt, you are very vulnerable. And he's like, anything happens, you lose your job, you'll lose everything. And that's what he means by hogs get slaughtered. He's like, you got to think of it like you're a hog, and the farmer's coming to slaughter a new hog every day. And one of these days, it's going to be your turn. One of the days, you're going to get laid off, or your spouse is going to get laid off. Somebody's going to get laid off. He's like, you have to have that sense of urgency to push you, because if not, if you become comfortable, then you're not going to push. He gave some suggestions for personal development. He said, Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. And the title is called The Art of Exceptional Living. He said he suggests to get the 6 CD set. And he didn't really go too much into that, but he went on to say, if you want to make more money, you need to be more valuable. He said, be more valuable on Facebook or YouTube or whatever platform you're using.
Yeah.
And he said, learn, then there's practice what you've learned, and then there's success. And a big important thing is we all need to learn how to execute. He said, a lot of us are learners, but we don't execute.
Right. We stay in learning student phase. Did he give you any examples of being valuable?
There are some others along the way. I'll go into it, but other speakers, but not directly from him, because they all kind of had topics.
Yeah.
And you'll see as I go on, some go more in depth in certain things than others. He said an example that he suggests is like if you're in an airplane or you're in public, and if you have headphones on, that's kind of a universal signal that don't talk to me. Yeah. He said, when you're like in an airport or public, don't have your headphones in, because that signifies I'm available. And I did that. And on the airplane, I actually met somebody and just chatted on the flight, and then ended up adding them on Facebook. He said, just meet people everywhere you are, and just make friends with everybody. Talk to everybody. If you're on a ski lift, like snowboarding, talk to the person on the ski lift. Like, just make friends with whoever. He's like, you just got to work. He's like, work until you go to bed. Work your butt off all the time. Another book he suggested to read is called The War of Art.
Okay.
By Stephen Pressfield.
Is
what's that?
Presfield?
Yes. And then Stephen is Stephen.
Okay. And that's The War of
Art.
Okay. Sounds really familiar to the last one, The Art of Exceptional Living.
Yeah, it sounds very familiar. He said, resistance hates it when we turn pro. So you're going to get a lot of resistance on the way. When he means is people, the naysayers, and they hate it when you make it. So just continue on your journey. Don't let them get you down. He went into talking about Snapchat, Facebook. He's like, there's no excuses why you shouldn't succeed. He said, if you're good at Facebook, focus on your strengths, run on Facebook. If you're good at Snapchat or YouTube or Instagram, whatever you're good at, focus on that and run with it. Don't make up excuses why your business isn't where you want it to be. He said a lot of us, the resistance is maybe simple as an invite. It's because we have that fear.
Yeah.
And we're all afraid to invite, most of us are, but you have to push through that fear if you want to succeed. You have to push through that resistance. And one thing that he said really helped him was to tell himself, it's not okay to be mediocre. You want to be great. You don't want to just be average. Mm-hmm. And he also said focus a lot on relationships, which we've been told several times before. And relationships are built on trust. The next one I want to go into is Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann.
Okay.
So he told a story, which I'll just repeat the story. I really like it. So he said, for the military people, that this is going to really connect with them. He said, imagine that you're over in a foreign country like Afghanistan or Iraq, and you're like the leader, and there's enemy coming in, whatever it is, terrorism or whatever, the terrorists are coming into the city, and you're trying to rally everybody and get them up on the roofs because that's the area, a good position where you get put rounds down range into the enemy. And he said, you're trying to get out the troops and get them up there, and they just kind of sit and watch you. So you climb the ladder, and you get up on the rooftop, and you get your weapon, and you start firing into the enemy. And you're trying to keep the enemy off you. And he said, think of like this hordes of enemies coming in. Like there's so many of them, and you're just like trying to pick one off at a time, but there's so many coming in at you. And you're yelling at your team down there. You're like, get up the ladder, I need help. And they're like, I'm too scared. And you're like, come on, team, I need your help. And they're just like, I don't know if I can make it. And you might have some that get on the ladder, and then they get scared and go back down the ladder. And he's like, you're not going to go down the ladder and get them and push them up the ladder. You're also not going to reach down the ladder and pull the team up the ladder, because if you do that, the enemy will close in on you and they'll overtake you in your little village because you're not focusing on the enemy and putting, the rounds down range. He said, so all you can do is just be a leader and effectively keep putting rounds on target. And as you do so, someone will get inspired and they'll say, so-and-so's up on the rooftop putting rounds down range. Maybe I should get up on the rooftop. Mm-hmm. And eventually people will follow your lead, and people start coming one at a time up that ladder, and they'll start getting on different rooftops, and they'll all start putting rounds down range. And eventually, might have one or two in yourself putting rounds down range. And eventually over time, and as long as you're consistent every day, all these other villagers will join the fight, and then the whole city will be up on the wall putting rounds down range against the enemy, which obviously that's talking about building our teams.
Right.
And
like in our challenge groups, that's where I think the last group really demonstrated that. Like Nick's coaches, when they jumped in, they were fresh and they were excited, and it felt like, there was a lot more people on board with us, or like essentially on the roof. Which is why I'm a little bit nervous about this next group, because he's branched off, and I'm like, oh man, like it's, us three and maybe a couple others that will actually be consistent. So I'm hoping that we can recruit more of us.
Yeah. And he said, you got to focus on you and just keep doing you, and people will show up because they're watching your social media. Yeah. It's like the ladder analogy, but if you sit there and you try to pull teammates up the ladder or push teammates up the ladder, you're kind of screwing the whole village over because you're going to get overtaken by the enemy. So that story really stuck with me. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Let me see what else I have. So he calls that leading from the rooftops, and that was that story I just went into.
Mm-hmm.
And they went over, telling compelling stories that draw people in, that attract people. When you attract those people, you connect with the people, then you invite them. And did you guys have any questions at that point up to where we're at right now?
No, I have, my story is on Facebook. I have a video.
Okay.
And what's really nice is that now all I have to do, if someone wants to know about my story, instead of tagging in them, I'll actually go into my video album and click share in a message to that person. And so it's a lot more private, and that's really helped me because repeating my story, again and again, like with the details of my accident and everything, that's helped me. So if you have a Facebook video of like your story, I've done that. You just go into your albums and click share and tell them like, hey, like, this is kind of what happened to me, because usually people who are injured or like struggle with depression or something like that, I'll send that to them. And they're like, oh my goodness. And so they'll come back to me, and they definitely engage a lot more if I send them a video. And that usually, I've done that probably like 15 to 20 times because, there's someone that hasn't met me face to face. And when they finally like connect, that is one of the best things I've done. Really. So
I think that's really good.
Yeah. So Tiffany, if you have your story or if you have anything like that, I would totally do that. Shoot me. I don't know.
I think it'll be recorded either way.
Yeah.
Sorry, my dog's whining in the background. He's like, ooh. Okay, I'm just gonna go on the next. I'm just kind of skimming over because I broke it down into highlights, but there's so many I probably have to narrow it down even more. I'm like,
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, they went into reading books multiple times. And what I've been doing, a lot of people have been asking, like, what's your secret, what you've been doing? And I know I've told you guys before, but I went to a Les Brown seminar, and I've literally been reading 30 pages a day every day. And that's a lot, either book or audio, but the equivalent of 30 pages a day.
Yeah.
And to me, it's done wonders. I feel like other people are noticing. I don't really notice as much, but other people are. They're seeing something, and they're telling me about it. So whatever I'm doing must be working.
What's recent ones that you've been?
What's that?
What are your recent books that you've been going through?
I read "See You at the Top" by Zig Ziglar. This one, I'm almost done with it.
Okay.
And then the other one I told Tiff about already was Zig Ziglar's "Secrets of Closing the Sale."
Okay.
She likes that one. That has about 700 different closes, and it's really good as far as objections. And I've used that one a ton. And I think the other day, I just got a free lead that she objected to me so many times. And and then at the end of the last month, I signed up a free lead as a coach. And both of these people objected me tons of times. But after reading that book, it's really good at like overrunning objections.
Right.
So, and in our business, we do have to close, technically to make a sell, whether it's a challenge pack or if it's a coach joining us, and that's what he goes into. He also talks about it's okay. I know. Okay. So they say Carl Deichler told us this himself. He's like, I know we say we're helping people, which we are. He's like, but you have to be realistic. We are selling. We're in a selling business. And a lot of people are scared to say that. He goes, but we are, even though we're in a helping sharing business. Mm-hmm. He's like, but a lot of people get hung up on the MLM. Like, are you an MLM? And they're like, no, yeah. Or do you sell anything? Are you trying to sell me? They're like, no. And he's like, if you start to do that with yourself, you start to doubt yourself. You just put yourself in a hurt. But if you're really like, yes, you realize selling's okay because selling, I'm helping, I'm finding something to solve your problem. He's like, then, and that's what that book goes over. Then you don't see yourself as such a, I'm asking my friend. I feel bad because I'm asking them to challenge group. I'm selling my friend. Or I'm asking to be a coach. I'm selling my friend.
I know. That is something that people have asked me before. And they asked me, what exactly do you do? And of course, SEAL. And he was like, what do you do as a coach? I told him, well, I help people get into a workout program that's suitable for them, like for their goals. And usually I provide examples of nutrition plans for them and really dive into their doubts and their whys and what stopped them in the past and support them every day and ask them to show up into a Facebook group every single day and do accountability. He goes, that's all you do? And I looked at him and was like, oh God. Okay. So it is hard because every single time you get one of those reactions, you're like, well, there's a chip off my confidence block. But really, then it's like the things that you don't see behind closed doors, like the messages of, hey, I've been watching you for a long time and I connect with you and I've decided not to do, whatever they decide not to do because of your posting and because of you pursuing them. So I don't know. It's really hard when people actually ask you, like, are you an MLM? Do you actually sell? Well, yeah, I sell something. I do sell things, but I also help people stay accountable and change their lives. It's just part of that repeating the process of like saying, like, it's okay. I'm going to respond to this person and tell them the truth, like not like squeal out of this one, like in the response and kind of like be timid.
Yeah, what Carl told us and what Dave Ward told us, and also they went over in that book, is Dave Ward's very, you met him before, right? Because he's like in your area. Yeah, he's very like to the point. And he said his friend came up to him and goes, you're not one of those MLMs, are you? And he's like, yeah, I am. He goes, what do you mean one of those MLMs? And he's like, you're not one of those people that are kind of icky and shady. And he's like, well, I'm in an MLM. Are you saying I'm icky and shady? And he's like, no. He's like, well, that's what I'm in. He goes, are you saying that I'm like that too? And he kind of called the guy out. He's like, you're like that. And the guy's like, well, no, I mean the other people. And anyway, he called the guy out and he just got to the point. And Dave Ward says it this way. Everybody can say it how they want, but he goes, I distribute fitness DVDs and supplements, and I help people to get results using our programs. I mentor business leaders in the fitness industry. I show them how to run their own fitness businesses. And that's how he explains it. And that's how I've been doing it lately. And it seems, you can do however you want, but it just seems a lot easier because I'm just like, I'm not hiding anything. This is what it is.
Yeah.
And when people ask, like, well, do you make money? He's like, yeah, I make money. Like, he's not afraid to say that. He just said it's just a confident thing, and you have to just be confident with what you are, what your truth is. And some people are scared to say what they are because they don't want people to mock them or make fun of them, like you said, knock at their confidence.
Yeah.
It's just believing in yourself and believing in your product 100% and believing in your purpose and what you're doing. And the more you believe in yourself, the more you'll succeed.
Exactly.
And the more you'll inspire the people to do what you're doing.
Oh yeah. I think that, all these points that you're saying, we may have heard them over and over again, but it's so good to hear that the top of the top are saying the exact same things.
Yeah.
And it's really neat that you went out all the way out there on your own to go do this. Did any other Team Inspiration guys go out there?
Sorry, the notes. It was Todd Schumann, Brianna's husband.
Okay.
He was out there. There was another individual or two or three that were going to go and made excuses and didn't go.
Yeah.
And whatever. But yeah, there's two of us out of her whole team of like 2,000 something. And there's probably, I don't know how many guy coaches, probably like 30 or so. But out of the whole company, there's like 500 guys that showed up.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
So would you say we could do another half-hour call about more in-depth things about the notes?
Yeah, I'll just leave it to where I'm at now because I was just looking over the notes right now. And I think this would be several calls with the notes because it's 24 pages of notes and I cut down and just highlighted the main things.
Right.
And even so, I'm only on like page 4 or 5, but there's several calls worth of information in here. Because I'd be on here all day long and that would not be good.
Let's just recap. I wanted to write down what I wrote. I wanted to say what I wrote down. The first person you talked about was Carl Deichler. And he talked about your ego will beat you down and tell you that you can't do it. And mastering that mindset of attacking your ego, obviously, or your inside, whatever is going on in that chatterbox up there. And he said to be relentless with your goals, run through the barriers, tell your story, connect, and then invite, which is some people do it backwards: invite, connect, and then tell a story. a lot of times I see that with new coaches. Myself, if I'm rushing towards the goal, I'll miss out the crucial ingredient of connecting. And then you had Dave Ward, and he talked about the sense of urgency and not being comfortable. Because the moment that you don't feel like you're a hog and being slaughtered, then you're fine. So maybe it's the spouse who, the other person works, and so they don't have to depend on that income. I've seen a lot of people that are single parents that are like really pushing because this is everything they have. Jim Rohn is an author that you told us about. The Art of Exceptional Living is personal development book, right?
Yeah, it's Art of this. Yeah.
Exceptional Living. And then Stephen Pressfield is the War of Art is also another book.
Yeah, Stephen Pressfield, War of Art.
And whatever you're good at, the platform, like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat. I don't know about Twitter, but Snapchat's pretty good.
Not really Twitter, according to Gary. Yeah. He said Snapchat, you don't have to be on all of them, but he said be where people are, which I'll get into later. But basically Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, there are options. You don't have to be them on all of them.
Right.
But whatever your strengths are, and focus on those and then run with it.
And also find that strength. Like, you get to utilize the platform for a while. I was actually on Instagram for a long, long time, and I still am, but I didn't get anything over there. And I still I do talk to people on it, but I put all the energy in Facebook because it was just distracting, quite honestly. And then you were talking about Lieutenant Colonel Scott Mann, and he's talking about the story about being on top of the roof and not pulling people or getting down a ladder and pushing them up onto the roof. People are going to watch you and see and decide on their own to make a decision and run with you. And that's another thing that's not driving anyone. So.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
He said to emphasize on that thing is someone else said it somewhere else, but it just ties into what we're talking about. Right. He said there's different kind of people you'll run across in your business. You have 100%ers on your team. You got your 50%ers, and you got your 30%ers. He said your 100%ers are the workers all the time. They'll always be 100%ers. And then your 50s will always be your 50s. Your 30s will always be your 30s. He said don't waste your time trying to turn a 30% worker into a 100% worker because you're wasting so much time and you're screwing the whole entire team over. He said, instead, just go find more 100%ers. And he said, as you grow your business, you're going to attract tons more of 100%ers, like all-in workers. He's like, so just leave that person alone. Let kind of the rooftop story I told, let them do what they're going to do and keep doing what you're doing, and then more will just show up over time.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions. Tiffany, do you have anything?
Thanks for joining us, Tiff.
Yeah, it really means a lot. Okay, well, we're going to stop this recording. I hope everyone, if you want to take a picture really fast, I'm going to stop.
Sure.